You're 2 games in since returning from injury. You've really hit the ground running. How have you been finding it going so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I guess the boys have performed as well, which kind of made my job a bit easier. But no, I'm happy. I was a bag of bones this time last week, and this week I was a little bit better. So hopefully, if I keep getting to play, then the body will get a bit better. Yeah.
How did you find sitting out that first block of games? Are you a good spectator?
No, I'm not. It was tough because I was just coming back. It was my first training back on pitch, and I tore my calf, so that was pretty frustrating. So obviously been on the sidelines for a bit, but especially when those internationals came about, obviously very, very frustrating to miss out on those as well. But I went and watched the first test match at Robbie Henshaw's house, so a bit of perspective because he was training all week and then pulled out just before it. So no, his missus said thanks for coming over because she was walking on eggshells around him for the last few days. So no, I'm happy to be back playing and see how we go. Yeah.
A great performance at the weekend against Racing, team full of internationals. It's similar against Gloucester this weekend. They have plenty of international players too. What are you expecting them to bring to Dublin?
Yeah, they're probably a bit more pragmatic, I guess, in their approach to the game of rugby. They've got the highest kicking meters in the Prem, least amount of carries, so that probably gives you a bit of an insight into the way they play the game. But then when you look at the two wingers that they also have, they've got probably the best Welsh winger going around at the moment and one of the best English wingers, so they're definitely capable of breaking a game open, and it's something we're really looking forward to the challenge, and Friday night at 8 o'clock hopefully we can stand up to it.
Thanks for your time, James. Good luck at the weekend.
Cheers, thank you.
James, what have you managed to bring to the game this year that wasn't there last year? The performance on Saturday was exceptional, really.
Oh, cheers, mate. I don't know, it's kind of funny because we look at the stats after a game, and myself and Jimmy kind of float about a game and try to get as many involvements as we can, and then we look at Hugo and what he does in a game. He hit 18 rucks, and between the three of us we hit 25. So you look at the ball carries, and it's the same. Hugo carried the ball 3 times in a game. So no, I guess just popping up in places where you're probably not expected, taking a bit of carrying weight away from the forwards. We have a pretty set in stone shape that we play, but if we can work around it with the nines, it's opens up space for other players. So sure, look, I just run around, and if there's a hole in front of me, I'll ask for the ball. Yeah. Sweet as.
I think that might be Justin Dunn. So we'll move
damn,
on
I
to
almost ran out then.
Yeah, hi James, Ashling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Howdy, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I read an interview in Rugby Pass that you would have done. I think it was maybe in the last few days, and you talked about why you wouldn't have picked yourself for the All Blacks. That you said at the time you had a bit of an air of confidence about you, and that you didn't consider yourself a team player, but you think things have changed a bit now, and you would consider yourself more of a team player now.
Oh, Jesus.
Could you let us in on that a little bit?
Crikey, holy heck.
Changed?
Yeah, that was like my younger self. I was probably a bit more focused on how I did things and wanted things to revolve around me. And I guess as you get a little bit older and understand, I've always been, a team player, but I was probably looking for more of the highlight reel stuff. But I guess now being a little bit older, you understand that there's no, the cliche, no I in team and no one can do it by themselves. You're better as a collective. And then when I look at the team I'm in at the moment and the world-class players we have from 1 to 23, they make my job a lot easier. So if I can be as, giving or as much of a team player as I can, I guess what I'm going to try and do, because there's a lot better players than me running around in our team. Yeah.
And was that a mindset shift when you went to Leinster? Was it certain coaches or players, or was it just getting older?
I think it's just a bit of maturity more than anything. But sure, look, you learn things along the way, and I guess that's what I learnt. If I can, be as good a team player as I can, that's probably going to benefit everyone. And at the end of the day, I want to win trophies, and there's no way I can do that by myself.
Brilliant, James. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Okay, we have a couple more minutes left, guys. Happy to throw it to the floor. Is Joe Caulfield there from Virgin Media?
It's actually myself, Mike Turner.
Oh yeah. No worries, Mike. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Howdy.
James, how's things?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good stuff. Yeah, I can't complain. All good. Look, obviously, just want to say congratulations on the excellent performance and victory on Saturday. How would you kind of assess maybe like fitness levels within the squad? Even yourself, obviously, it's a tight turnaround now with the game against Gloucester on Friday. How's everyone kind of feeling?
We're definitely in a good place physically. We've been very well looked after today. There was a lot of off-field meetings going on. Obviously, the gym is about getting the body right, and everything's geared towards Friday. We've got tomorrow off, and then we'll crack into it Wednesday, Thursday, building into obviously the game on on Friday. But boys have recovered very, very well, and we're definitely in a good place heading into Friday.
Fantastic. And just also wanted to say, that pass that you played on through for Gary there for the try, that was absolutely unbelievable. What was you kind of thinking behind that? I know it's probably spur of the moment more than anything.
Gary said carry, and he's my captain, and I always listen to my captain. So I'm not going to lie, if it didn't go to hand, you'd be saying some other things. So fortunately, he's got a great skill set, and he caught it and managed to score. Yeah.
I'm sure you've had a chance to look back over the Racing game now. What was the most pleasing aspects for you, the big takeaways?
Well, obviously we had quite a journey to get there initially, so it left a lot of room for error, really. But I mean, the positive thing was we didn't, we normally have a captain's run the day before, and you visit a ground that few of us had been to before as well, to get a feel of the place. We weren't able to do that, but we didn't let anything like that affect us, and I thought the boys were great. We arrived at the ground, we walked the pitch, we just went through everything very methodically, and it showed on the pitch then as well. We looked pretty composed, stuck to the game plan, and just that sort of mental steel, to not let things bother us, and it was just a great performance from the boys.
It's a quick turnaround. You're back in action on Friday night. Have you had a chance to see the Gloucester game? And I mean, that was a big second half from them to come back and beat Bordeaux.
Yeah, exactly. They'll have taken quite a bit of confidence out of that, and when you finish a game on a high, that tends to carry on into the next game as well, and I'm sure they'd be buoyed by that. Obviously showed quite a bit of resilience to come back from 17-5 down, and they look at the game slightly differently to Racing. Racing with Finn Russell at 10, they pose quite a bit of threat. Gloucester, they got a very strong set piece up front. They're a very good mauling team. So the challenge is going to be a bit different. So we're going to have to, plan for that and be as thorough as what we were against Racing. That process had already started. So trying to familiarise ourselves as much as we can now with what we're going to be faced with on Friday.
You're looking good on the injury front, no major knocks coming out of the Racing game, and you'd be hopeful maybe that Jonathan Sexton or Tyke Furlong can play some part on Friday?
Yeah, well, they've both been running today, so we're going to have to monitor how they go. Obviously, we're going to have to step up the intensity and add the different layers on, and just keep on monitoring them. So, they're obviously both very keen to get back involved. as anybody would be really when the team's going particularly well. So, yeah, we'll just keep an eye on them.
Thanks for your time, Robin. All the best on Friday.
Thank you very much.
Robin, really just a question on the form of Ross Byrne. Obviously, it would be great to have Sexton back in on Friday, but you must be very, very encouraged as to how Ross Byrne has been going of late.
Yeah, well, he's very dependable, isn't he? I mean, he's always provided that. Even that Exeter game a couple of seasons ago, and then even more recent, that last kick against Australia for Ireland as well. So he's very dependable, and you've got Johnny Sexton here, but you've got to be ready to take an opportunity when it comes along. And Ross has done that in his own way. He's a good voice. He leads well, and he's got him providing clarity to those around him. Just chuff for him,
Just on the scrum itself, obviously Racing would be a team that probably would have tried to target the Leinster scrum. Obviously with Tadhg Furlong being out, must have been very pleased with that, and with an eye on the weekend and Friday evening. Gloucester similarly, that would be kind of right into their wheelhouse as to kind of how they play the game. Any thoughts on that? And firstly, a few thoughts on Saturday and how that went.
Yeah, happy in the main really. When the introduction of Trevor Nyakane earned him a penalty, so there's certain areas that we need to look at and try and problem solve a little bit better than what we did last Saturday when they made those changes. Relatively happy. It's a different mindset with regards to, when you've got a team like Racing with Finn Russell at 10, and the stadium they normally play at in France, they play a certain brand of rugby. Gloucester, they play in the Guinness Premiership. It's a different game. There's a lot of emphasis on the set piece. The nature of the tournament is different. So they're going to be a lot more focused and a lot more attention to detail in those areas. So they're a very good mauling team. They rely on that to earn territory, kick penalties, etc., as well as the scrum as well. So they're coming from the background of set piece domination being first and foremost in their minds. So our challenge up front is going to be a little bit different and, I dare say, a little bit greater on Friday night.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to us, Robin, and good luck with Friday.
Thank you.
Hi Robin, Aisling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm all good, thanks.
Good. You mentioned the travel disruptions, but I suppose how much of a disruption was it to your preparations? Could you tell us a little bit about it? Yeah,
it was just a lot of hanging around. In fairness, there was no complaints. Listen, everybody realised that there was nothing anybody could do about it. Just one of those things. So it was just a case of biding your time, picking up a book or whatever you're interested in, and we were. Eventually, when we got underway, we had to circle a bit because of the fog on the other side. But everything was done. The air hostesses and that they tried to look after us as well as possible. We ended up flying and landing in an airport in Paris, which meant we had a 2.5 hour journey in a bus. The buses didn't turn up, so the players jumped in taxis. And then the staff managed to get on the bus. So planes, trains and automobiles finally got there just before midnight. And, we just got on with it. Bit of mental toughness with regards to not being overly concerned of not going to the ground. I went to the ground early. Leo and myself went to the ground early just to have a look around, and, everything was in place. But in fairness to the guys, it was nothing interrupted their mental preparation, etc. And it was just another day at the office, and everybody accepted it and got on with it, and that was it, you know. But you wouldn't have thought so in the performance, and you know, again, I take my hat off to the players. When we got to the stadium, we walked the pitch, we stayed pretty tight, discussed what we're going to do in different areas of the field, and from the very first kick, you know, we just got on with it, and yeah, fair play. I can't speak highly enough for them.
Yeah, well, so a really impressive win considering the preparations that you had to go through. And we were just speaking to James Lowe, and it's great to see him back in such great form after coming back from injury.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's a few boys due to come back as well, hopefully. And when a team's going well, then you want to be part of that team as well, you know. So that's going to be, you know, encouraging you to try and, you know, work that a little bit harder if it's possible and get yourself back a little bit quicker. But no, it was a great performance. But we do realise it's just one game, you know, that's all it is. And it's a different challenge on Friday night. It's great to have the crowd back, so we look forward to the RDS and hopefully have a full house. You know, so not everybody was able to get over to Le Havre. You know, it was quite a place to get to, and with the travel disruptions as well. So hopefully we can have a full night, a full capacity crowd on Friday, and you know, really enjoy yourselves in front of the home support.
Brilliant, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Thanks very much, Robin. How's things? How are you keeping?
Very good, thank you.
Good stuff. Listen, just one from me. Congratulations, obviously, on the win at the weekend. There were lots of kind of standout performers. I want to kind of just maybe focus a wee bit on Ross Byrne, obviously. How do you think he's kind of handled the pressure of filling in for Johnny Sexton recently?
I think he's well versed with dealing with that pressure. You know, we stepped up a couple of years ago in Exeter when we went down there. Played very well. More recently, you know, he just stepped up and took that kick for Ireland against Australia right in the end. You know, he's very experienced. He's more than ready for his opportunity. You can see that, you know. When you're vying in the same position with Johnny Sexton, then you've just got to make sure you're ready when your opportunity comes. And again, you know, he was a big part of providing the clarity to those around him, sticking to the game plan. Just very cool, calm head on the pitch as well. And just provided that direction for the whole group, for the whole team. So yeah, you know, just chuffed to bits for him, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's all from me. Thanks, mate. Best of luck the weekend as well.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Just throwing it out to the floor one last time. If anyone has any follow-up questions for Robin, please. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah.
Just a quick one, Robin. In terms of the game on Saturday, there was 2 yellow cards for Camille Schacht and Lugaris, I think. Just in terms of Leinster scored 2 tries in each of those 10-minute periods. Cards are going to be a big part of you know, rugby. And how important is it to take those opportunities when they arrive?
Yeah, no, I think more and more teams now are preparing for the worst case scenario. You know, as what happened the week prior with Cian Healy with us, you know, you're going to have to prepare for the worst case scenarios a lot more in your training. And again, I take my hat up to the boys, the way they dealt with that card the week prior to that. Yeah, and you're dead right. You know, when a card has been given against you, you're going to have to shore up and be able to adapt and make decisions on the run. On the other side of that, when the team opposite you are a man down, then you're going to have to work hard to really press home your advantage. You know, it worked for us against Ulster. Sometimes, you know, when a card goes against you, it can bring everybody a lot closer together. It'll definitely focuses the mind. But yeah, we were able to take advantage of Racing, obviously, on the weekend. And, you know, a lot of things at play when cards are there. You've got to get field position. You've got to look to increase your ball in play, whatever it is. But you just need to be clinical when those opportunities do arise. So yeah, I think they are going to play a vital role in rugby from here on in.